Okay, you are stuck with me today. I'm excited. I will be talking about play and the importance of play. So if you have any questions while I'm talking, feel free to pop up on the screen. If you send a chat, I'll do my best to kind of watch the chat room. If I don't see it, maybe Bridget can help. Hey, Jennifer, it's there. And then we'll just kind of go from there. Okay. So there we go. Okay, so I'm not sure how many of you know my background. As of now, I'm the listening and spoken language director. And so where I started from was I taught junior high for 2 years. And then I was moved to preschool. I've always wanted to be in preschool, but it was a little bit daunting moving from junior high to preschool. But then I realized it's really not that much different. It's just a different age. And so I loved preschool. I taught preschool for 13 years. And then I moved on and did the oral habilitation therapy because while I was in parent preschool, I also got my auditory verbal therapy certificate from certification. And so I have that background as well. After I did oral habilitation for 5 years, our director left and I applied for the position. And I have actually been in this position for 7 or 8 years now, which I don't even know how it has happened that fast. I've loved every opportunity to see each position, and it's been really fun. My favorite part of this job really is parents. It's been so fun to see kids and parents and just to see where they've come from. So, okay. I have to find my little thing. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about play. Admit people as they come in. And actually, Bridget, I'm going to make you a co-host. So if you see anybody pop up and I don't see them, will you add them for
Will
me?
do.
I didn't think about that until just right now. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so what is play? Play is basically children's work. And why is it so important? It's because it gives them an opportunity to develop and learn within their environment. And so think about it. What are the critical things for brain development? Your brain has all these different areas, and how do we integrate all of those areas? Well, we do it by playing. We do it by having them opportunities to listen, to see things, to touch things, to smell things. It just helps the child to develop around what's around them, because they're not born with the opportunity to play. If you think about a baby and all the stages they go through until they're 3 and 4, and even after they get older, play is critical for learning. And so that's the biggest foundation for future learning. And so that's why I really wanted to kind of talk about this today, because I wanted to give parents an opportunity to find different ways to play with their kids. Okay, so it's funny because there's a lot of myths about play, and so I wanted to kind of myth buster them. And so the first one, play wastes time and prevents learning. And sometimes you'll hear this, especially from like elementary school teachers. No, they don't have time to play. They have to learn. But if you think about it, even as adults, don't you learn best by doing something hands-on? I know I do. If I have to sit and listen to a presenter like today, this is probably not the best way of teaching, but it really is just not as engaging as if I gave you a whole bunch of Play-Doh to play with. And you guys, while we're talking, it's like, think about all the things you could do with it. You're going to learn better that way. So think about it from the same perspective. Kids learn by doing. The other thing, play is really nothing more than fun and games. It is fun. It's the ideal environment for children to help them live happy, healthy lives. So think about yourself. Do you just sit around all day and work? No, you play. Your play is different. Maybe your play is going for a hike, or maybe your play is going for a 4-wheel ride. It just, everybody has something that they do. And so really, truly think about play as an opportunity to relax. Play isn't important until children are older. that is so not true. Think about babies. You know, this cute little baby in a crib. I have yet to ever not be able to engage with a baby. You think about all the engagement that happens from your facial expressions, or even just closing your eyes and saying peekaboo. Think about the smile it puts on their face. And simple games like that stimulate babies and it stimulates their brains. And so we really just want to provide children an opportunity to learn from their environment. And then the last one is children only benefit from structured play directed by adults. Well, actually, that's probably the biggest falsehood there is. The best laid plans are not ours. There is a role for structured play. Example, like in a preschool classroom, we have things set up. But I'll be honest that when I was teaching, following the child lead was actually the most productive lesson I've ever done. When they're engaged and they take us on a direction, it actually helps them develop more language because they're more engaged. If you're forcing them to do something they don't want to do, you don't want to do it either. Why do you want to do something someone doesn't want you to do? So just think about that when you are playing with your kids. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the types of play. The first one is called solitary or independent play. The second one is parallel play. Third one, cooperative play. Fourth one is skill mastery play. Fifth is sensory motor play. And sixth is rough and tumble play. So we're going to talk about each of these. Okay, so solitary or independent plays. So the child plays alone. And why is that important? Because it really helps them to promote independence and build self-esteem and creativity. So as a parent, it's okay to let them know to play sometimes by themselves. You don't want them to play all the time by themselves because you want to be able to engage with them, but it's okay to let them to do that. The big thing is giving your child enough time to organize without interruption. I've heard in the past it takes about 30 to 45 minutes for children to really start to engage and play. And so the longer you let them engage, the better the play is going to be. It's going to be more creative. It's going to be, they're going to have an opportunity to really expand on what they're doing, which also goes back to the same thing of letting them choose their activity. If you choose something you want to do, you're going to be more engaged with it. Okay, parallel play is our next one. And so parallel play is when children play alongside another, but not with them. You're going to see this a lot with our 3-year-olds. So 2 and 3-year-olds, especially if they have older siblings, they kind of sit off to the side, they kind of play. Sometimes you'll start seeing them mirror what someone else is doing. And this is how they develop observation skills. They kind of learn how to get along with others, and they also learn how to work independently. And so what, as a parent, can you do? You can play alongside your child and comment while you're playing. We have talked about like self-talk and parallel talk in the past, or sign talk. Communicate with your child, because really the point is when you sit there and talk about what you're doing, you're providing them an opportunity to listen or see what it is you're talking about. And it just gives them more language, and it gives them an opportunity to explore with new things. And so then kind of be that bridge. Watch your child to see if they're mirroring others. And so encourage them to kind of get closer and share the materials. You can kind of help them to kind of engage, and that will help them to know that they can start to play with their friends or siblings. Okay, the next one, cooperative play. This is more organized play. So you won't see this until probably 3, 4, 5-year-olds because it takes a lot more to organize. It's going to be things like, for example, in preschool, I go back to preschool because that's the easiest place for me to explain this. We'll set up thematic units like the restaurant. And so in a restaurant, think about all the roles. You've got a chef, you've got the cashier, you've got the server, you have a customer. And so when kids learn all those different roles, what they learn is how to take turns. They learn about the different roles. And it also encourages the communication piece. So if you're sitting there with your child and you're going to be the customer, you can talk about, oh, I'd like the hamburger with French fries today. And that provides them some more opportunities for communication, vocabulary, all those things. But then when they bring it back, you can talk about, oh, this is so good. I like how it tastes, all the things that go along with it. It's just fun. And it's fun to see the kids start to get and grasp the idea of what this means. And then a next kind of play is called skill mastery play. And so the child is learning something new. So they're using trial and error to do something over and over. So example, throwing a ball, riding a bike, swimming. Everybody has done this at some point in time. They've learned a skill and has not been great. I recently, my son has been teaching me to play golf. That's extremely difficult. He would tell me over and over, keep your head down, do this, do this. And it was really interesting to learn a new skill like that. So it makes me think about learning to play. It takes time, and encourage them to keep practicing, but also support them if it gets hard. And don't force them. If they're tired, let them move on and then bring it back again tomorrow. So, you know what? Let's try again tomorrow. And then tomorrow we're like, oh my gosh, look how much better you are than today. It's like riding that bike. The first time you get on the bike, you fall down. And the more you hold them and they get the confidence, you see the excitement in their eyes. They're like, I can do this. And so this kind of play teaches them that they can learn new things and they can confident. And the other piece of it is it's okay to fall. It's okay to fail. Sometimes we're so worried about protecting our kids that we forget that it's okay to fall and fail. That's how we all learn. If we protect them and we always pick them up and we never let them learn that skill, it really transfers into their future about they're afraid to fall. And it becomes almost an anxiety where it's like, I can't fail. We all fall, we all fail. Teach them young, it's okay. Just be there to support them and get them back up and try again. We learn more by failing. Someone told me once, fail means first attempt in learning. So think about that acronym, FAIL, fail, and consider that every time your child does something. Okay, the next type of play is sensory motor play. And so you're going to see a lot of this throughout all childhood. You think of a baby, they're using their senses. How many times have you seen the baby put everything in their mouth? They touch everything. If you're a parent at Christmas time or birthday times, you know it wasn't the toy in the box that was the funnest thing. It was the paper and it was the box that was actually more fun. So if you remember that and remember that when you're giving kids toys, really follow their lead and teach them that it is a toy, but let's look at it, let's smell it, let's touch it, let's talk about it. Because providing that opportunity just helps the children develop more and more. Okay. Next one, rough and tumble play. I'm going to say this is more of a daddy play. I think moms do it too, but I think daddies are the ones that really throw this one into play. Think about when babies are little and daddy's throwing the baby up in the air and catching them. As a mom, it always scared me. As a dad, they do it, and it's actually great for the kids. It helps them to learn how to use their whole body to play. And so biggest things that you can do about this is just providing a safe play to play, a safe area, maybe not doing that on the kitchen tile. Maybe we could do that somewhere safer, like on the carpet, it's just teaching them the best ways to do it. And so then watch your child's reaction and follow their lead. If they're scared, stop. But if they're engaged and they want more, then keep going, because it's really fun to watch. And it really builds those bonds as well. Okay, so we talk about all those types of play. And so you have to think about the stages of play. And so these are the 6 different stages. And so unoccupied play is that birth through 3 months. Well, babies birth to 3 months pretty much cry, eat, sleep, and that's about what they do. But when you engage with them and you look at them and smile, that's kind of the first steps to playing with them. And then it goes to that solitary play. So that's birth to 2 years. And so it's that, playing with the rattles, playing with their feet, everything goes in their mouth, because it's that sensory play. It's how they're learning about their environment. And so engaging with them and, like I said about the peekaboo, those kinds of things just help the baby to learn more skills as they get older. And then that spectator onlooker play is that 2-year-old. So that's that little one who's just kind of watching their siblings or watching their friends. And then that moves kind of into that parallel play. And that parallel play is, remember, that where they're sitting next to their friend or there's mom or dad or somebody, and they're just kind of doing what they're doing. And then it moves into associate play, where they're starting to play with others. And then that cooperative play is really when they're starting to engage with peers and siblings or you and actually taking on those roles. So think about the play and where your child is. So if your child's really at a parallel play, it's going to be a little more difficult to get them to try and take a role like in a restaurant because they're just not cognitively ready yet. So just kind of think about those things and be realistic about your expectations for your child. Okay, so 5 essentials to meaningful play. So big things about children is giving them opportunities to make their own decisions. A lot of behaviors come because children don't have control. And that's why 2-year-olds are the way they are, because they want control. So I've always been taught is you are the parent, you give them the 2 choices that you're okay with. So if you want them to play with blocks and Play-Doh today, you could say, okay, so which one do you want to play with? Do you want the blocks or the Legos? And let them have that choice. And they don't realize that you're making that choice for them. You've given them an opportunity to make a choice. And so they'll be like, oh yeah, I want to do this. And so giving them opportunities like that helps them to make decisions, and they understand that they can use things for other ways. So like open-ended materials are another way to help them make those choices. So like if you're playing with blocks, you can talk about that. Oh, today this block's going to be the fire station and this one's going to be the grocery store, or this is going to be a tree. And it like using all of those words and vocabulary, it just helps the child to create, it helps them to connect about the world around them, and it'd be creative. The challenge sometimes with when our language is low is that we become very black and white. We don't like think about outside the box as much because we're afraid they can't do it. The more we give them opportunities, the more we talk about it, the more we show them, the more they're going to be able to do it on their own. So that's making decisions is really important. The other thing is children are intrinsically motivated. So think about this. The play comes from a natural desire to understand the world. When my kids were young, we would take them camping. And the funnest part for me was watching them totally move away from electronics, and they would build forts. They would dig for bugs. They'd play in the mud. I mean, they were boys to the end. But it's because really they wanted to understand the world. And so giving those opportunities really just helps them to learn about the world. And so it's really interesting to think that the impulse to play is as strong as the desire for food or sleep. So giving kids time to play, it gives them opportunities to learn. And so learning self-control is also in a desire is when we learn to play with friends. So like if you have a child who struggles to play with others, and if you watch them, a lot of times they're trying to enter the play, but they don't know how. And so sometimes they'll just go and take that toy. And so as parents and teachers, we have to really help kids to learn how, can I play, or will you share that with me, and teaching them. So think about all those things. We don't know just how to do some of those skills. We have to teach our kids to do it. Oh, and we'll switch interpreters. Okay, hello, Bethany. Oops. Okay, so the next one, 5 essentials to meaningful play. So the third one, children become immersed in the moment. They become so fully engaged, they lose awareness of their surroundings. But it also gives them an opportunity to experiment. So if you ever watch kids outside, I go back to the mud puddles and making mud patties. It's like, if you think about even when you were little, I remember doing that hours. You could sit and make cakes and cookies and all these things from just playing in the mud. And you've become so engaged that you don't even realize who's around you. It just is that opportunity to really learn about something new. And the other thing is play is spontaneous. It's not scripted. sometimes it's just totally unplanned, and you can provide opportunities, but they might not be interested in what you have out. They might want to go into your kitchen drawer and play with all of the plastics or the pots and pans. It just gives them an opportunity to learn. So let the child make changes. It's okay. And then the big thing, play is enjoyable, and there's an emotional response attached to it. If you help your children to, if you play with the child, those are memories. If you think about the funnest times you had with your parents, it's probably those times when you just sat down and did something completely different. So really think about enjoyment and the direct result of play. Okay. So one thing I just kind of wanted to just throw out there, and I won't go read through all these, but you can kind of read through them really quick, is just how to select toys. You know, and I'm going to talk about electronic toys in a minute, but think about your child, the age of the child. Think about, what is this toy going to do for your child? I remember my kids were little and we'd buy toys like bears that talked or something like that. It's funny, they never played with that stuff. They played with the things they could create with, the Play-Doh, the blocks, the Legos. It was really interesting to think about that afterwards, and remember that what we think we can do with a toy is completely different than a child. And so, and then things you just want to look at is, where is it going to create, um, produce creativity? Are they going to get frustrated? Is the toy too hard for them? And is it going to nurture childhood? Is it going to help them to continue to be that child that they deserve? Our kids are growing up so fast, and it's really scary to me that they really just don't get the same time to be little kids. We have so many expectations on them now that, just think about that as they get older. As far as I'm going to talk about the electronic toys. The biggest issue with electronic toys is it's the toy takes over the attention and we forget to interact. So if you think about an iPad, do you engage in an iPad when will your child engage with you when they have an iPad? Not probably. They're probably so focused on the iPad. The other concern about that is we need human interaction to play. We need human action to learn. There was a study once about children who were learning Chinese on a computer, and then there's another group of kids that were learning Chinese through a real person. The kids that were learning on the computer, they didn't learn the Chinese language. The kids that were engaged with the adult, they learned. And so that's what I just want to remind parents, is that it's really critical to find things that you can engage with your child. Instead of playing a computer game, why don't you play a board game? There's so many fun board games out there. And even as you get older, just pulling off and checking out of electronics is actually a really good skill. And so, like I said, that social interaction is the most important for full human development and well-being. So human interaction cannot be put aside by electronics. So just trying to remind people that, because it's so easy to get lost in that. And so I wanted to also share with you a bunch of different types of toys. So think about the toys. So we have activity toys. There's some that develop coordination, improve small and large motor skills, like balls and beanbag jump ropes. All of those skills are helpful. If you think about throwing and catching, it just helps the child to develop even moving better, running. All of those things are critical for development. Creativity toys stimulate self-expression, learning to follow directions. So example, finger painting or making musical instruments together. Simple things like taking a cup and putting something over the top of it and an elastic band on it, or you could put like rice inside, and so when you shake it, it makes noise. So there's so many types of things you can do. And honestly, in this world, if you Google how to make musical instruments, you'll find thousands of ways to do it. And there's everything, and usually you can find in your house: toilet paper tubes, paper towels, use rice, beans. There's just so many things you can do. And so think about that. And also think about, you don't have to have toys you buy. That's my point, is kind of like thinking about how you can use what you have around your house. And then you have your learning toys, things that help create knowledge. So like your books and puzzle board games, puppets, those are all critical for learning, and they're fun. Okay, so on that same thing, it's that open-ended toys. So encourage your child to use a variety of toys. So provide them an opportunity to show their creativity, give them the blocks and pop-ups and dolls and art supplies, and the big thing is kind of turn off that TV and turn on playtime for more fun, meaningful family times. Instead of watching a movie, if you have time, sit down and just, bring out the Play-Doh or bring out the art supplies or have a puppet show. Encourage your child to encourage the whole family to do it together because it's actually just really fun. Okay, so another thing I found was the prop boxes, and most of you have been in preschool or have seen a lot of the things we do in preschool. It's all thematic units pretty much. Well, you can kind of do the same thing at home. You can create your own plastic bins or shoe boxes that are related to a topic. And so I just wanted to give you some ideas. So like your blocks, you could put a box of blocks together, but you can also add clipboards and paper and crayons. And what you can do is when they create their tower, then they could draw what they made, or they can make a plan and then create the draw. Then they could create the activity. It just gives them more opportunities. Pretend play, variety of clothes, accessories. You know what? If you're gonna go get rid of something, you have all those Halloween costumes, put them in a big box and just let them go to town. And if you're really, really loving this and you really want to go to different directions, you can create different boxes. So you could have one like going to the office, you have briefcase and you have a hat, or you have, a calculator. You could do things like that if you really wanted to take the play to a different level. Art, that's pretty common. Paper, utensils, scissors, glue. Providing kids with scissors is always a scary thing, I think, for families because we're afraid they're going to cut something they shouldn't. Well, truly, scissors should be monitored. So if you're with your child and teaching them to use scissors, they can cut up magazines, they can cut up old newspaper articles or the newspaper ads. Just giving them the opportunity to cut really does help them develop those fine motor skills, but just monitor them while they're doing it. Other ideas, so prop box ideas for math, so board games and puzzles, empty egg curtains. So think about your egg curtains in this picture right here. They took all these different colors of Play-Doh and just put them into, and they sorted them. So think about all the things you could do with an egg curtain. You could put 2 in and say, well, how many do we have? We have 2, and then how many more do we need? We could sort them by color. We could put this side is red, this side is blue. You can do so many things with a simple egg carton. So you could put pom-poms, buttons, beans. You can just put so many different types of things in them. And then just an opportunity, pennies, just anything to help them play with math and use the words, I have more than you have less than I do. Giving them the opportunity to hear those words really just helps develop those skills. Reading fiction and nonfiction books. It was interesting once I heard as well that boys tend to go more towards nonfiction books. And so have a variety of books around your house because it just gives them an opportunity to see new things. Writing center, same thing, markers, pens, notebooks, envelopes, rulers, note cards, just giving, they love this stuff. They love to make notes for their friends and put them in their envelopes and deliver them. They think that is really fun. Water play, you could use your bathtub, your kitchen sink, a small basin. You can fill it up with bubbles. There's spongers, basters, colanders, strainers, pitchers, measuring cups. Just lots and lots of different ways to get them to engage in the water. And honestly, this is probably one of their favorite things in preschool. The water table is probably the most favorite activity because it gives kids an opportunity to get dirty or wet, and they really do love it. Cooking. I think cooking is one of the most critical things for kids. Think about all the skills you develop by cooking. You have measuring skills, you have all the vocabulary that goes along with it. You're teaching them about recipes. There's bowls, utensils. There's just so many things that you can do with cooking. More music, using oatmeal containers, yogurt cups, Google's, like I said, go on Google and you'll find 100 different ways to make musical instruments. And then even science, tools, magnifying glasses, prisms, magnets, binoculars, paper and pencils. Just collect items around your house. Kids love this. You go to the dollar store most of the time, have those magnifying glasses, or they have those bug catchers. They just love anything that they can explore. And then probably the most fun toy out there and the cheapest one possible is Play-Doh. You can Google and you'll find 100 recipes on how to make Play-Doh. There's edible Play-Doh, there's smelly Play-Doh, there's just so many different kinds. There's some that you don't have to cook, there's some you can cook. Add food coloring to it. There's just so many things you can do with Play-Doh. And the reason it's so important is it really just helps the kids to feel confident. It invites other people to join in the creations. It's like, have you ever sat down with your child and they're making Play-Doh and they give you a ball and they say, okay, make a house, or we're playing bakery and I'm making cookies, you make the cakes. It's just another opportunity to provide language for their kids and to give them an opportunity to see what you can do with them. That creativity, it's also that symbolic thinking. So think about it. If we're going to make a house and I'm going to make it out of Play-Doh, look, oh, I made a house. Or we're going to make a cookie. I just made a cookie. It's changing. They're taking something concrete and making it abstract. And so it just provides them an opportunity to do something different. And then older kids even love it. They can really get involved in this, and they can really become like the construction worker or the pastry chefs. So you can really define it and have it more directed. So it's a little bit more to a certain end goal, I guess is the way to put it. And then the language and literacy that goes along with it. Think about the vocabulary involved in Play-Doh. Roll, pound, squish, cut, shape. I mean, you can go on forever. And you're making a snake, you're rolling it in a ball, you're just doing all these different things. And then you could invent stories about your Play-Doh. You could talk about, okay, so we have these all created and you're like, we can make the gingerbread man story, and the little fox is going to take the gingerbread man cookie and take him across the lake. So there's just so many things that you can do with the Play-Doh. And so I just really want you to think about that. And I think the funnest part about it is making it together. So start by using that cooking piece of it. Talk about the recipe, talk about, oh, we need 1 cup of flour and we need 1/2 cup of salt, and then we need 1 cup of water. Where is all this stuff? What is this stuff? Giving them opportunities to create and learn with you will also build their skills. And like I said, math is another great thing with Play-Doh. So you can measure and count. You can make it into shapes like this. You have the number 4. We're going to put 4 watermelon seeds on. We can really elaborate. And so Play-Doh is really a powerful tool. And probably one of the best things about Play-Doh is it develops those fine motor skills in your hand, those small muscles. I was in a workshop once, they're talking about writing and kids, and people think sometimes you just pick up a pen and you start to learn to write. It's really not the case. If you think about how hard it is to learn how to walk, you babies go from, they kind of lay on their bellies and then all of a sudden they start to push up and then they start to get on their knees and then they kind of move forward and then they start to climb onto the couch and they move around the couch. And then all of a sudden one day they take the step and they're bouncing around. And then before you know it, they're running. Think of writing in the same way. If you think about all the skills it takes to strengthen your hands, you cannot just go and pick up a crayon and start to learn to write. That's why they start by scribbling and then they start making their shapes. So what Play-Doh does is really helps develop those fine muscle skills in your hands. And so just things to remember. Okay, and so once again, those prop boxes, things you can do with Play-Doh: birthday candles, blocks, bottle caps, cookie cutters, combs, garlic press, large buttons, feathers, leaves, plastic utensils, rolling pins, small people or animals. So many things you can do with it. And it can be something you guys create on your own. And what a fun opportunity for you guys to explore your house. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about today is when your child is included in chores. Really, it's part of playing. If you think about how fun it is to be outside in the dirt, weeding the garden, or folding laundry. Think about all the things you can do while you're folding laundry. You can sort them by colors. You can say, oh, this is daddy's pants. This is mommy's shirt. Sorting it by socks. Oh, look at this sock. This sock is big. This sock is little. Look at this one has stripes. So when you're thinking about all these things, just always think about the language that is involved with it and comment, talk about it. Because the more we expose our kids to the language, the more they're going to understand about their world. Watering plants, washing dishes. There's just so many things that we can do with chores. And I guess that wasn't the last one. This is the last one. Playing in puddles on a rainy day. I just thought this was so fun to think about. If you, right now, what a great day. It's a rainy day. You have a raincoat, umbrellas, go outside and float but duckies or boats in the water, jump in the water, sing songs. It's just a fun day to go and jump in the puddles. And I don't know any child who misses a puddle. They all love it. Okay, so just things I want you to take away from today. Repetition may be boring for you, but not for your child. You think about reading the same book over and over and over and over. You know the story, but that's how your child's learning the story. And that's how they connect with things, is that opportunity to hear it and see it and do it and just keep learning about it. The other thing is really make time to play with your kids. I know our world is busy. I know we work, we come home, we have laundry, we need to make dinner. But I'm going to be honest with you, your kids are going to be in high school and in college before you even know it. And I know this because mine are. And take the opportunity to play with them, because what it also does is it creates that relationship. So as they get older, when you have that positive relationship with your kids, when times get tough, you can always rely on that relationship to help you get through it. The other thing is get involved, but let your child take the lead. You are the adult, and I know it's really easy to take over, but it's really more about the child. And so always think about that. This isn't about me. This is about what does my child need at this time? And learning to bring yourself out of the adult, it's not easy. Sometimes parents have a hard time bringing it down, but just think about when you were a kid and how much fun it was when your mommy or daddy played with you. The other thing is take time to watch and listen to your child. Watch what they're doing and expand on it. Give them an opportunity to show you what they know. The other thing is, instead of saying just good job, think about giving a more definitive of what the child's doing. So like, you did it. Wow. Look at that. That water made the wheel turn. If you think about when you're at work and your boss says, hey, good job, you're like, okay, thanks. But if your boss says to you, hey, I really appreciate how you presented that presentation today. It really made me think about it and it gave me time to see a different perspective. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, thanks. That makes sense. So think about your kids the same way. It's instead of just saying good job, oh, you're so smart. Think about, I really like how you built that tower today. You took the small block and put it on the big block. You know, giving them that feedback helps them to learn as well. And then extending the play by offering them other materials. So if you see them playing with the blocks, hey, you know what? I have some popsicle sticks. What if we made these into stop signs? Or let's use the toilet paper roll and we can make that into a tunnel. Just giving them other things that they may not have thought of, but you have. And then once again, playing alongside your child is really just fun. Teach them, if you're building with something, oh, I made this tower and I'm going to put this one on top. They'll see what you're doing. And sometimes they're going to want to engage in what you're doing. And sometimes they're just going to kind of watch and say, that's cool, but I'm going to do it my way too. But you've also given them a model of how they could do it different. And the biggest thing, please remember, it's so fun. With my staff lately, we've been talking about self-care and just remembering that we're important too. And so if you remember how much fun it is to play and how much fun it is to engage with your children, I think it actually reduces your stress level and you'll just remember all those fun, good times. Okay, that is all I have for today. These are my references. I will upload this to the website as well. So anybody's interested in looking at the PowerPoint again, I'm happy to share. Does anybody have any questions, any other concerns, or anything else they want to share with another family? Or does anybody have something really fun they've done with their kids and they'd like to share?